Tomato, tomato. Schedule, schedule. Z. Be honest, which of these felt the most natural for you to say? Because the way you pronounce words, the vocabulary you use, and even the grammar structures you choose all reveal whether your English has been influenced more by British or American English. Today we're going to find out whether your English is more British or American with this quiz. There are 3 categories: pronunciation, vocabulary, and grammar. And by the end, you'll know exactly which variety of English you speak. My name is Emma, and welcome to my channel Pronunciation with Emma, where I help English learners from around the world master British English pronunciation. I'm a Cambridge CELTA qualified English teacher with a degree in linguistics, a master's degree in teaching English, and over 16 years of teaching experience. Before we get started, if you're not sure where to begin with your English pronunciation, then download my free English pronunciation pack. It contains my best pronunciation lessons to help you get started, plus a bonus practice story to help you shadow and imitate my British accent. The link to download it is below in the description. So, here's how the quiz works. For each question, I'm going to give you 2 options, one British and one American. All you need to do is note down which one feels the most natural for you to say or use. At the end of the video, you're going to tally up your answers, and then you can tell me in the comments which variety of English you use. Are you ready? Let's go! So, let's start with pronunciation. There'll be 10 questions in total in this section. For each word, I'll read a sentence and leave a space for you to think about how you'd pronounce the highlighted word. Then, you'll listen to both versions of the word's pronunciation and decide which one you'd naturally say. Are you ready? Here's number 1. I sliced a fresh for the salad. Now, would you say tomato or tomato? If you'd say tomato, that's more British. Tomato is more American. Now for number 2. Please check your before confirming the meeting. Now, this one's a little bit of a trick, and I'll explain why. So the American pronunciation is typically schedule. However, in the UK, we use both schedule and schedule. So if you say schedule, then that's very British. But if you say schedule, it could be either British or American. We use both in the UK. So if you say schedule, give yourself a full point for British. If you say schedule, you could give yourself half a point for this one. Number 3, for the new product appeared on TV. If you said advertisement, then that is more American. However, again, in the UK, we have a bit of an American influence, and we can use either advertisement, which is very British, or we sometimes say advertisement as well. I say advertisement, it's probably an American influence from cartoons as a kid and things like that. But again, if you say advertisement, that's very British. Advertisement can be British or American. Number 4, she takes a supplement every morning. If you'd say vitamin, that's more British. If you'd say vitamin, that's more American. Number 5, we took the scenic through the countryside. If you'd say route, that's more American. If you'd say route, that's more British. Number 6, the letter is the last letter of the alphabet. If you'd say Z, that's British. If you'd call it the letter Z, that's more American. Number 7, we've made significant on the project this week. If you'd say progress, that's British. If you'd say progress, that's American. So the main difference is the vowel. Progress, and progress. Number 8, the application takes approximately 2 weeks to complete. The application process, if you're British, and the application process, if you're American. Number 9, could you write your on this envelope? If you'd say address with the stress on the second syllable, that's more British. If you'd say address with the stress on the first syllable, then that's more American. Take note that this is the noun form here. So in the UK, we would typically say address for both the verb and the noun. However, American English speakers would normally say address with the stress on the first syllable for the noun, but address for the verb. And number 10, our final question here for pronunciation. The research team collected from over 500 participants. Now, if you'd say data, that's more British. If you'd say data, that's more American. Take note that it's not just the vowel that changes, it's also that t sound in the middle. So in American English, they tend to use what's called the flap T. So it's like a very quick tap with the tongue. So they'll say da-da, da-da-da, with a tap here, da-da, compared to data, t-t-t, which is a very aspirated, clear t sound in British English. Okay, so how did you do with the pronunciation section? Is your English pronunciation more British or American? Now we're going to move on to vocabulary, because British and American English sometimes use completely different words for the same things. Again, I'll read a sentence and I'll leave a gap for you with the highlighted words. Just choose whichever word or phrase feels the most natural for you to say. Try not to overthink it. Again, there are 10 questions in total for you here, so remember to keep score. Let's go. So number 1, I'm wearing trousers if you're British, and pants if you're American. Now this one, if I say this sentence to you, I want you to choose which option it comes to mind. What are you thinking about when I say the highlighted word? I need to buy some new pants. What are you thinking about here? Now if you're thinking about the things that go under your trousers, that's your underwear, some new pants, and that's more British. If you say pants, it tends to mean the ones that go on the outside, so the long ones that like jeans or something like that. We would call them trousers in the UK. So keep this in mind, depending on who you're interacting with, that pants can mean completely different things depending on if you're British or American. Number 3, I'm wearing a jumper if you're British, sweater if you're American. Number 4, the baby needs a clean nappy if you're British, diaper if you're American. Number 5, take the to the 3rd floor. Take the lift if you're British and take the elevator if you're American. I live in London. If you live in a flat, then you're probably British. If you live in an apartment, then you're probably American. In the UK, we tend to distinguish a bit between flat and apartment. A flat feels more permanent. It's like where you actually live, while an apartment feels like a holiday apartment. It feels like it's somewhere that you stay temporarily, like you're on holiday or something. So there's a slightly different connotation in British English for these two words. In American English, as far as I'm aware, they just use apartment for both things, whether you're on holiday or whether you live somewhere permanently. Number 7, there's a long at the post office. There's a long queue if you're British and a long line if you're American. Just as like a side note here, if you want to say that someone goes into the queue when you're waiting, so they're trying to get in front of you without waiting behind you, you can say in the UK to jump the queue. But in American English, they're more likely to say to cut in line. Number 8, what's your postcode if you're British and zip code if you're American? Number 9, I'm going on next week. I wish I was. I'm going on holiday if you're British, and I'm going on vacation if you're American. And number 10, our final question for vocabulary. I need to stop for petrol or diesel, depending on the type that you need to use if you're British, and I need to stop for gas if you're American. So, how did the vocabulary section go? Did you find your vocabulary was more British or American this time? Did you find that your pronunciation was maybe more British but your vocabulary was more American? Well, this is now the last section of the quiz and we're going to test your grammar. Listen very carefully and again, choose the version that sounds right to you. Think about the option that you'd naturally use. There are just 4 questions in this section, so let's go. So number 1, would you say, have you eaten yet? or did you eat yet? If you'd ask someone, have you eaten yet, using the present perfect, this sounds a lot more British, while did you eat yet sounds a bit more like American English. Just so you know, you can use both of these grammatical structures with an American English and a British English speaker. We understand both, don't worry, it's not going to confuse anyone. Number 2, I've got better at it, or I've gotten better at it. If you'd say, I've got better, that's more British, while I've gotten better sounds very American. Number 3, this is a bit of a tricky one. It's something that my students ask about a lot. The team are winning. The team is winning. Which one would you go with? Now, if you'd say the team are winning, sounds a lot more British, while the team is winning sounds a lot more American. Now, the interesting thing when it comes to some collective nouns in British English specifically is that you can use the singular or the plural verb, meaning you can say the team is winning or the team are winning, but they have slightly different connotations. So, for example, if I say the team is winning, it sounds like the team as a whole, like the team has won. But if I say the team are winning, it feels more like I'm kind of thinking about like each individual player in the team. So in American English, it's a little bit simpler in this case. You just use is. Number 4, I'll see you at the weekend. I'll see you on the weekend. If you'd say at the weekend, sounds more British. If you say on the weekend, sounds more American. Okay, so that's the end of the quiz. So how was your overall score? Did it show you that your English was more British or American? If your answers are split fairly evenly, then don't worry. Most English learners end up somewhere in the middle, especially if they haven't made a conscious effort to only learn one variety. So it's completely normal to pick up a mix over the years. Even native speakers do. As I told you, I say advertisement and schedule, which are more American, let's say. But because of the influence of cartoons, American TV shows growing up as a kid, it's influenced my pronunciation as well, so don't worry about it. And as a side note, I'm not the only native speaker from the UK that this has happened to. Like, many people, especially younger people under the age of, let's say, like 45 or 40, let's say, if they grew up with American cartoons in the UK, then they probably have this influence as well. I guess the big question for you now is, which variety do you prefer to use? British or American? Tell me in the comments which variety you'd prefer and also what your score was in this quiz. Did you find that your grammar was more American, but your pronunciation and vocab was more British? Let me know in the comments. Now, if today's quiz showed you that your pronunciation needs a little bit more of a British influence, or if you just want to know where to get started in general with English pronunciation, then my free pronunciation pack was made for you. It includes my hand-picked top pronunciation lessons, so you know exactly what to focus on first. Plus a bonus story to practice your pronunciation and shadow my accent. It's completely free for you to download, and the link is in the description below. If you've enjoyed this video, then please remember to give it a like and subscribe for more British English pronunciation lessons. I will see you in the next lesson. Bye bye!